red stream marker. All right, we have another sprint takeover here by James Woodwright for Johnny Miller. This is a personal history of a character that we'll just dig into. Johnny Miller was born in a village and would finish his school day by helping his father, Wilfred. Once he finished school, he couldn't start college due to his distance to the closest one. Instead, he was put to work in the same apple orchard as his father. Years passed away when Johnny was in his early 20s. Years passed. When Johnny was, I'd change that to a period. When Johnny was in his early, or I'd just say, get rid of that. When Johnny was in his early 20s, the harvest of apples began to fail. One year got so bad that Wilfred may have to be laid off. Since Wilfred was mainly supporting both of them, this did not spell well for the pair. Okay, get some issues there. Since Wilfred couldn't retrain due to his age, Johnny took it upon himself to fix the issue. Since one of the variants of apples they were cultivating was failing due to a blight, Johnny tried to artificially crossbreed two apple varieties to make a new one, working into the night and in the tavern in the village on most nights. With some false starts and some failures, in his mid-30s he managed to make a variety of apple that was not as susceptible to the blight. The new variety didn't just supplant the losses, but made a slight surplus of apples. His work was praised and a statue was made in honor of his achievement. The statue of him, in a walking stance holding a copper apple in his right hand, the subject of his study, and the bottle in his left hand, depicting the place where he spent hours at night studying his idea further. After Johnny Miller's death, and in the later part of the Great Rewind, the inhabitants of the village forgot who he was, but kept the idea that he was important. In the end, they assumed the statue was there for religious reasons. These ideas were that this deity's message is to work hard and celebrate later. This was from the depiction of the statue. Their religion began to spread to other villages, to the extent where a majority of villages have the same statue. What a wonderful context. I really like that. That is cool. How you have that a statue that nobody knows and they forgot about it. That's fun. Okay, now there are some issues with the grammar of this as well, and I think that the sentences need to be a little more straightforward. I was asking you, how do I name a deity? Oh, yes. Because is this the person's face who was on the coins in the Great Rewind? But they don't, excuse me, but they don't remember who he was. It, yeah, it's very similar to Johnny Appleseed. But Johnny Appleseed just went around planting apple trees. He didn't crossbreed them to be less susceptible to the blight. But that would be that's a question for James to answer on if this was inspired by Johnny Appleseed. Okay. Now, in this personal history that you do have here, talking about Johnny Miller, you do make a good. It is good that you go chronologically from the beginning of his life through the end. but the problem I would say that there is with this article is that we need a better introductory paragraph and just explain um, who Johnny Miller is, because you don't need to keep it secret to the end of the story that he was a pioneer in apple crossbreeding or something like that. Yeah, James, do you even know who Johnny Appleseed is? That's an American folk tale, an apple pioneer. I love the pun. Love the pun. Um, okay. Oh, look up Johnny Appleseed. It's an American folk tale. Um, yeah. Thank you, Sudan, for the link. So we need to have an intro. You could say Johnny Miller was a pioneer in apple breeding that saved you know saved something, and then you can say then you can get into personal history, or you can just actually have something right here, just a paragraph or two paragraph summarizing his life achievements, including the statue at the end. Okay, all right. So Johnny Miller was born in a village and would finish his school day by helping his father, Wilfred. Okay. Once he finished school, he couldn't start to couldn't start college due to his distance to the closest one. Okay. Instead, he was put to work in the same apple orchard as his father. Okay, fair enough. Um, years past. Yeah, I already said we should get rid of the years past. Um, when Johnny was in his early 20s, the harvest of the apples began to fail. One year got so bad that Wilfred may have to be laid off. Okay, that is a grammar. Uh, may have to be. Um, you could say was to be right there. Uh, was to be laid off. Since Wilfred was mainly supporting both of them, this did not spell well for the pair. Okay, it seems like a lot of your sentences you put um, you put the subject and the verb of the sentence in the second half of the sentence, and I notice this because this is something that I do a lot as well. You could say um, you could say something different. Wilfred Wilfred losing his job would devastate the pair, or something like that, because this you have the word this is a pronoun referring, that's the subject. Okay, and spell. So this spell, uh, yeah, that's your subject, that's your verb, and then you got all of this back information. So not exactly sure. Because one concern I have here is I don't want to edit this so that it becomes my words. I want your words to be able to shine through as well. And so that's a fine balance I sometimes I don't keep. But I would just go through here. Okay, since Wilfred couldn't retrain due to his age, Johnny took it upon himself to fix the issue. Actually, that's a good sentence. Since one of the variants of apples they were cultivating, was failing due to a blight. Okay, I just changed. Um, Yeah. So um, I I would go through it again, read it out loud, and make sure that you um, maybe try to simplify the sentences. Focus on putting the subject and the verb at the beginning of the sentence, and then all of the extra information later on in the sentence, instead of the opposite that you've done. Hopefully, that more straightforward approach to the grammar within this sentence could uh, could help. All right, let's.